Hello and welcome. My name is Angel. This is video 3 of a 3-part series of how to identify and avoid cults or the fake shaman, the fake guru, the false teacher. There's a lot of that happening, and my credentialing is that I grew up in a cult and I've done a lot of research and I've created a framework of healing for myself, and that is what I offer. If you didn't hear any credentialing in there, it's because I have none. And that's important for me to say, because the nature of this video, me making a teacher about false teachers, is very much the call is coming from inside of the house. And so my intention with this is to give you as much information as I can so that you can decide and ask questions and listen to yourself. My goal is that you do vet what I'm saying. You do ask questions, and everyone has their own experience, and that experience is valid. So if you watch this video and there are things that I'm saying that you're like, wait, that's, if you have that little feeling, that little flutter of like, wait a second, follow that, because the best way to avoid people who are harmful or people who are predatory is to listen to your gut and to what it is telling you. I like to use the analogy of Mentos and Coke. Like Mentos are stable. They're in their form. They're a stable form. Coke is also in a stable form. When you put them together, they explode. They would have been fine apart for all of their life, but if you bring them together, they explode. It doesn't mean that Coke is incorrect, doesn't mean that Mentos is incorrect, but the combination doesn't work. And that's also true for humans. Just because I am in a stable form and just because you are in a stable form apart, that doesn't mean together that there wouldn't be an explosion. And that's just the nature of nature, right? We resonate with certain teachers. But I'm going to just jump into the information. I have laid it out in a way that I feel is very clear and helpful. But again, ask questions, talk to each other in the comments, and make sure that you feel, that you follow what it is that you're feeling, because your gut really doesn't lead you astray, but it also doesn't shout at you. So if the still small voice comes up, listen to that. So let's jump in. And again, I won't be able to give you all the information you need in half an hour, but I want to give you useful information. So I have divided 4 realms: the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual realms. And I'm going to give you like my experience, my research on the patterns that I've seen of true teachers, which there are, and people who are false. I'm going to use the word guru or false guru in a derogatory sense. That could be incorrect. However, it has been my experience and the patterns that I've seen and everything. Anyone that has allowed themselves to be called a guru or to be in an exalted place, generally the environment they create is not healthy, because they accept the title of this sort of exalted spot above other people. And then teachers or guides are simply that. They are teachers or they're guides. So I will use the guru term sort of in a derogatory way, and I will use teacher or guide in the sense that they are the people who are actually teaching you or guiding you. So let's jump straight into key differences between a false guru and a teacher. Guru treats you like a child. It coddles you or it pushes you. So you'll either be like, oh, you poor thing, or you're going to be pushed. A teacher treats you like an adult. A guru keeps you in emotional dependency. A teacher will guide you with structure. A guru keeps you in confusion. A teacher will help you build self-trust. A guru, the whole community is going to be bonded over shared wounds, and there'll be a lot of looking at the wounds and the pain. And then a teacher creates a community of shared growth. So everyone is on the path somehow. Everyone is moving towards something. So the realms, again, are mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. We're going to start with the mental realm and talk about what the guru, the false guru, does, and then what teachers do. So in the mental realm, a guru's goal is perception control. They want to shape how you think, not support you in thinking for yourself. They will say things like, if your thoughts are negative, you're manifesting your own suffering. If you are in pain, it's because you're thinking painful thoughts or you think pain exists. They will frame your thoughts as the enemy. They'll use circular reasoning. And circular reasoning is when the conclusion of the argument is just restating the premise. And the most common one, I think, that a lot of us have probably heard is that it's true because it's in the Bible and the Bible says it's true. And so that's just a loop. But because it's in an actual pattern, it can feel like it's logical, but it's actually completely illogical. And they've made no argument. They just restated the premise. They will over-spiritualize thinking and frame your mind as the enemy. And this fractures your sense of self. So how, quote, well you think will be a statement of your worthiness within the group. But at the same time, because you're never going to get to the top, because the guru is at the top, they also have to fracture your trust in the way that you think. There will be a lot of confusion without resolution. The language that they use will be very fixed, very self-serving and rigid. It will be absolute. It will be very jargon heavy. So they'll say a lot of stuff without actually clarifying a lot of stuff. So you'll be left emotionally hyped, but mentally foggy and unsure why your intuition is whispering that's like something's off. Because in your gut, you're like, wait a second, I'm confused. But in the mental realm, they're just giving you information, and they're saying it really fast. They're giving you tons of it, and you sort of go into a spin looking for patterns. But it never feels grounded because there is no actual proper mental help given in these spaces. When you are working with teachers in the mental realm, they understand that clarity of thought is fundamental to creating a healthy mental environment. The goal is to help you see your thoughts and their implications clearly. They'll teach you to examine your thoughts, not to adopt theirs. They'll ask you questions about your thoughts so that you learn to clarify and identify actual patterns in your framework. They respect your thoughts and steer you towards self-understanding and encourage you to see your mind as one part of a larger system. They will encourage calm and teach integration and won't teach you to view your mind or your thoughts as the enemy. Interacting with a teacher will feel grounded and clarifying. You'll walk away with more trust in your own thinking, not dependence on theirs. So again, if you deal with the guru in the mental realm, the guru is the authority of your thoughts. They create confusion and they encourage doubts of your own capacity and circular reasoning. If you're dealing with the teacher, they encourage clarity of thought. They encourage questioning what's going on and the integration of your mental system with a larger whole system. The physical realm. A false guru uses the body as a thing to control. A true teacher invites you to come home to it. So if you are dealing with a guru or a fake shaman, and there are a lot of those, they will treat the body as something to be dominated or to transcend or as something for their pleasure. When you're dealing with a fake guru or a shaman, they will have a protocol for the body that leaves no room for your body's actual response. So if they run a specific diet, they'll tell you to stop eating this or that without acknowledgement of your personal body's needs. They will claim that normal bodily functions are due to disobedience or because you exist in a lower vibration. There was one call a few years ago where they said that women who have periods are in a lower vibration, that having a period was not a regular thing. And so they put all the women in this group on a diet, which was just starvation, so that the women starved, and once they were starving and their periods did stop, only then were they worthy of ascension. They will try to get you to either cover up, be fully covered head to toe, don't cause any sort of disturbance of sexual energy. The gurus, of course, are the exception to this because they get to have sex with whoever they want. The thing that I'm seeing nowadays is the opposite of that, where they encourage you to be as sexual as possible, and they encourage you to film that and put it online. There is a lot of pressure to, quote, open up, unquote, physically. There are a lot of blurred lines around consent. They sort of bring God into the equation of like, God told me to have sex with you. God said, you know, you're the one for me. God said this, God said that. And I think we see that. There will be ritualized intimacy that feels off. They will encourage a lot of touching in their communities. There will be physical and sexual contact between multiple partners. The result is that you continue or begin to feel shame, pressure, and disconnection from your body. If you are dealing with a teacher will teach you reverence for the body because the body is a teacher in itself. They'll teach you to honor the body as a living, intelligent system and promote listening to it, not overriding it. Being around them, your body will feel calm. You'll be open to new states of being or trying something new in your body without too much prodding or coercing, because they will have given you clear information and it will be catered to your actual needs. If the teacher's modality of healing has to do with touching, they will always ask you for consent before they do so. Teachers have good physical boundaries. You know you're in the presence of a teacher when your body feels safe, your choices are respected, and you're invited deeper into your own sensing. And of course, it is wonderful to be held, to have contact with your teacher. But again, listen to your gut. You can tell if something is off. And it's on you to speak up because, you know, the love and light people or the huggers or none of these people necessarily mean to come into your space and be predatory. It's simply how they exist. And they simply don't view the body as reverent. So there is this sort of assumption that it's fine if I touch you or you should want to be touched. But if you're dealing with a teacher and you're trying to reconnect with your body, there's a different way for it to be treated. So the guru or the fake shaman views the body as impure, or they hypersexualize it. They promote rigidity and bodily performance. They create shame around natural instinct. They apply pressure for you to look, act, or dress in a certain way. And they use control masked as discipline. And they leave the body feeling tense or you feel disconnected. If you're dealing with a teacher, the body is something that is intelligent and sacred. They encourage slowness, softness, and presence and feeling your body a little bit more. They welcome exploration, sensation, and rest. The goal is to build trust between you and your body. The body becomes a trusted companion on your path, not a problem to solve. And I feel like this needs to be said because this is such a red flag and glaringly obvious, but anyone that works in the psychedelic world, anyone that works with ayahuasca or DMT or mushrooms, they won't be trying to have sex with you if they are a true teacher or a true guide, because they understand that it puts you in a compromised state, and they are not going to prey on you in that compromised state. If you go to these places and somebody puts you in this compromised state and then tries to touch you, that's a predator. And I think that is very, very clear. So I encourage you, when you go to these spaces and you're doing your research, if you're going to step into the psychedelic realm, make sure that your body feels at rest, that you don't feel any underlying pressure. And if they touch you in the surrounding container, whether it's a few days or months or however long it is that you're working with them, they shouldn't be touching you. And if they touch you, that should put up a red flag, because the teachers who are in this space, who are true teachers, they understand that you are on your own journey and they shouldn't be touching you, trying to undress you, encouraging you to take your clothes off, or trying to have sex with you. And now we're going to move on to the emotional realm. So, emotional manipulation disguised as spiritual teaching. The false guru uses emotional control and disguises it as spiritual wisdom. They'll say things like, "Are you sure that's not your trauma talking? Are you sure you're not just holding on to that?" Which, to be fair, even if that is the case, they wouldn't use language that makes you feel like you're doing something wrong, because that's emotional manipulation. When they do things like that, if they use that language, it's almost an accusation to override what you're actually saying in the moment. And then as soon as you feel confused, wait, am I? Then they can come in with the gaslighting. They will gaslight in order to maintain authority and superiority. They will center their story over yours, and theirs is generally more dramatic or more evolved. So for example, if I say, well, I went through child abuse, if it's a guru, well, I did too. And here's what I did when I did that. And actually, it was my whole family. And so you tell a story, you offer a little bit, and then they come in and just tell their story right on top of yours. And then they turn it into a lesson, and you may not even have gotten to tell your whole story. But again, when you're involved with the false guru, it's not about you, it's about them. The false guru or cults will remind you of your wounds and keep you bleeding under the guise of healing. And there is a lot of research about this, where it is actually not helpful at all to keep talking about your wound, your wound, your wound. It's not useful in order to move past it. Of course, if you want to stay there, it is useful. But if you're looking for healing, and I think a lot of times we end up in these spaces because we are desirous of healing, it is not healing to continue to bond with everyone over your worst pain points and to just rehash that over and over. So they remind you of your wound, and they will also expose your stories in public settings, but they will still demand, quote, radical honesty. They will shame or weaponize emotions like anger or grief. You'll be allowed to only experience light and love. Anger or wrath, the darker emotions, those are saved for the leader. So the leader is allowed to have the full spectrum of emotions. The leader can get mad at you, they can throw things at you, and then they can also feel the lighter emotions. But if you are a part of something unhealthy in dealing with these cults or a false guru, you'll only be allowed a very small spectrum of emotional experience. They will push forgiveness if truth threatens their power. So if you are harmed emotionally while you're in this cult, emotionally or physically, they will then bring in forgiveness of like, yes, so-and-so hurt you, or you got hurt by so-and-so, but you got to forgive in order to be an enlightened being. You have to release the story, stop holding on to your trauma. And if you've dealt with a narcissist or you've dealt with these cults, you know that track where they really put the blame back on you and then tell you, well, you got to forgive anyway if you want to continue down this path of healing. You're left confused, and you'll find yourself performing certain emotions like peace or joy, love and light a lot, but you'll find yourself suppressing or holding back rage or certain, quote, unwanted emotions. You'll become emotionally volatile, going between suppression of emotion and then outbursts of emotion, or simply a complete numbing. Let's move on to a teacher that is a match emotionally. I've brought a fan in because it's so hot. If you are dealing with a teacher that is a match or a guide that is a match for you, your emotions are welcome as waves of the human condition, not reverenced, but watched and acknowledged. Feeling rage, joy, sorrow, fear, or anger will not disqualify you from the respect of the teacher. The caveat, of course, is violent language or violent behavior. A true teacher will prioritize witnessing the emotion and following it rather than analyzing your emotion and trying to explain it to you. They will encourage you to take responsibility for your emotions and teach you how to ride the surge, encouraging self-agency and self-management. If you share a personal story with a teacher, they will listen and they will hold it in confidence. When working with a teacher that is a match for you, you will feel more capable to ride or duck under the waves of your emotions, and you'll be able to identify ways to go through it rather than suppress it. You will feel capable of handling your inner world a little bit better. If you were prone to outbursts, you'll learn tools to manage those. And if you are prone to suppression, you'll begin to feel safer allowing your emotions to surface. In the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm is the most sacred and mysterious. It is also a personal relationship. How someone teaches or uses the spiritual realm really reveals whether they seek dominion over you or if they seek connection. Spiritual realm, if you're dealing with a guru. The guru will present themselves as the gateway to the divine. They will teach you ways to do it, but they will remain the expert. Your own connection is always seen as lesser, and they will remain the ultimate authority. They will knock other ways of doing it. They might make fun of therapy or methods that differ from theirs. They will gatekeep knowledge. You will be required to prove loyalty or readiness in order to access the next level. They will create a spiritual hierarchy that feels elitist and will cause spiritual isolation and confusion. They will overemphasize the need for external rituals. For example, you need to hit this moon ceremony, and if you don't get this one, you're going to miss the energy. This promotes fear and urgency instead of a trust in your natural timing. There is, of course, a difference between being invited to something and then being pressured to attend something. They will bypass the impact of their teaching if harm is done. It will always be your fault for, quote, not being ready or for still being in your ego. They will claim flaws on your part, but they will offer no changed behavior on theirs. False gurus will remain in a state of seeking altered states as opposed to presence and peace with how things are right now. Their mood will dictate the room. You'll low-key walk on eggshells and feel separate. They feel above, you feel below. They can feel intimidating. There will be a need to act differently when you are around them. They seek dominion. If you feel spiritually inadequate, intimidated, and like belonging must be earned, you might be dealing with a false guru. The unspoken rule is that the more devoted you are, the closer you get to them. Dealing with a true teacher. So a true spiritual teacher understands that the spiritual realm is a personal one. It is a relationship with you and the divine. They will allow for mystery and the unknown. They honor that your experience may look very different from theirs. They invite you deeper into your own connection. They offer possibilities, not predictions or prescriptions. They offer space for integration. They will not rush you through something you are not ready for yet, and they trust you to be able to hold your own wisdom. They will encourage play and curiosity. They will have rituals that become exploration. They will be fun and engender self-trust. They celebrate you when you listen to your own intuition, even if it leads you in a different direction away from the teacher. They understand that spirituality is non-linear, and they support integration, not performance. The goal with a true teacher is release, not dependence. They want you to have the tools to move toward your freedom, not to stay attached to them. And to use the old analogy of give a man a fish and he'll eat for the day, and teach a man to fish and he'll eat for the rest of his life. That, I feel, is a really good analogy. The guru wants you to be dependent on them, and depending on if they like your attitude that day, they'll come and they'll give you a fish. And they can claim that it's a good thing because they're feeding you. And a teacher will teach you how to fish. They'll show you their tools. They'll tell you how to find watering holes. They'll teach you how to care for yourself. In the story of your life, you need to allow for the casting of yourself as the hero. And being the hero of the story is a very big responsibility, because the hero, they leave home, they go on a journey, they find the answer, they come back and they rescue. They return home, they come back to themselves. And it is a very big responsibility. And when it feels like too much, you might have the desire to cast someone else as the hero. And the person who was willing to be cast in your story as the hero is a guru, false guru, who's actually a villain. People who truly are the heroes of their own life, they're busy. They can't be the hero in multiple stories. They can be a teacher in your story. They can be a guide in your story, but you can only be a hero in one, and it is only your own. So the important question to ask yourself is, do you want to be rescued? Are you trying to find someone that you can cast as a hero, or do you want to learn about your own capabilities? The goal is to help you be able to see patterns of behavior and what these things tend to look like, so you can start to steer away from behaviors that we all do. Again, the teacher can exhibit some characteristics of the guru, and the guru can exhibit characteristics of the teacher. But you are the deciding factor, and your gut will help you decide where to go. I like to think of it, another analogy, sorry, not sorry. I like to think of it as guardrails. If you're the bowling ball, and if you can see what's happening and you can see the guardrails, you can bump into them, and it'll keep you on your path. You're still going somewhere, but it'll keep you on the straight and narrow. And if you don't see the red flags, then you might fall into the gutter. but trust that you have an internal navigational system designed to guide you and to keep you safe. Find somebody that you trust, somebody who you feel is a good guide and a good teacher. And again, you don't need them necessarily, but it is really wonderful to run across them. And I've benefited a lot from true teachers who have given me the tools to fend for myself and to be the hero of my own story. So ask yourself, do you want to be rescued, or do you want to learn about your capabilities? And your answer is not going to be right or wrong, but it will hopefully inform you as to what side of the spectrum you're going to tend to lean to. And the more that you can accept responsibility and try to learn about your capabilities, the more that is naturally going to steer you more towards a guide or a teacher, because you will be open to the teaching. And this video scratches the surface of things that are so complex and so nuanced and need a lot of context. But my goal with the series was to help you see a little bit more clearly, and I sincerely hope that this series has done that. And if you've watched it and you've gotten to this point and you're like, I don't like her, something's off, great. Go on your journey, I wish you well. Find a teacher that resonates with you. Find someone with whom trust is simple and easy, and you feel a sense of relaxation and hopefulness to learn about your own capabilities. And if you are going to stick around, I will continue to teach. I have a lot that I would love to share with you, but I'm going to go turn 40 first, and then I'll be back in a month. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.